Hey guys, this video is about this gun right here, the new Bodyguard 2.0. Well, not new anymore. I made a video about this last year, but I forgot to post it. But I am really impressed with this, having this for a long period of time and a lot of bullets through it now. Yeah, it's gonna hold up. This thing is pretty awesome. Before I get in and post some old clips from the old video, like me shooting it and some issues that I have had with it, I'm going to compare some size versus other carry guns that I have laid out here. So if you don't want that, you can fast forward through the video. I'm just going to be comparing it for size wise, and why I'm carrying this is because of the size. It is amazing. So let me get to that and compare some of the sizes. All right, let's do a quick size comparison. Bodyguard 2.0, Car CM9. Car CM9 is a small carry gun, 6 rounds. There you go. We'll do with the mag too, but I'm going to go through them without the mag. So that's the same. The length on the car is a little bit longer, and then obviously the slide is thicker and chunkier. And then if you were to compare these two guns' shootability, man, it's night and day. This gun is very shootable, and this gun is kind of a pain to shoot. And on top of it, this trigger, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Look at this trigger. Beautiful. Anyways, on to the Glock 26 with the polymer ready frame. You know, obviously the Bodyguard is much smaller and much thinner. The grips are about the same. There is the thickness. It is like night and day. Now I will say this is a very good shooting gun. I love shooting this gun. It is awesome. So the best shooting gun on this table, hands down. This is the Glock 43 with a red dot, 43 MOS. So line these up. That's what you get with the grip, either 10 rounds or 15 rounds with the shield arms mags. And then the thickness isn't as big of a difference, but it's still a big difference. Still much thinner on the Bodyguard, shorter, and then obviously that grip really makes a difference for printing, you know. So, you know, naturally this was printing a little bit in tighter clothing, so I was like, you know what, I just have to rock a 43. But I don't like Glock frames in the 43, and so I got the polymer 80 43 frame. And man, this frame, if you're gonna go 43, you got to get the polymer 80 frame. It is amazing. I mean, I love this gun. But anyways, size comparison, it is about the same on the grip. Let me get that better. Yeah, it's about the same on the grip, and then obviously without the comp, it's right there. And you know, but it shoots better with the comp. And then the thickness is going to be the same as the 43X, and then the 48. Just for comparison, it's going to be the same thickness as the last two, and the same as the 43X grip. There's the thickness. So there you go. If you want to compare them with the magazines, this is the Car CM9 and the Bodyguard. Look at that. The Bodyguard is shorter on the grip, more concealable, even for the pocket. Let me tell you that I made this holster day one, and I love it. You reach in your pocket and it just pops off, like boom, stays in your pocket. Love it. You know, barely have to think about it, just boom, pull the gun out. You can do it with your finger or your thumb, whatever's easier for you. Also, you know, in gym shorts, you don't have a belt, it just beautiful. Still has retention. I'm not squeezing on it. If I did it hard enough, it would come out. But yeah, a nice pocketable gun with a little Kydex holster just like this. Pretty amazing. Glock 26. I know the light's getting hard to see, but Glock 26. Now this is a 12 round mag. I know they probably make a little bit of a flush cut, but, well, not flush cut, but a flusher mag, but it's still going to be the same size or a little bit bigger, which is crazy. And then, you know, your Glock 43X, which is just kind of ridiculous if you think about it, that they made that 10 rounds from the factory. Pretty crazy. Honestly, the SIG is much better than that for size, but I do love this gun. And there you go. That's the 43 with the +2 base plate from Mag Guts that holds 8 rounds. So yeah, I know not the best lighting, but it is what it is. The weight for the Bodyguard, unloaded, 10 ounces, loaded up with 10 rounds, 15 ounces. That is absolutely amazing. You know, weight makes such a big difference in gym shorts. So anyways, the CM9 unloaded is 15 ounces, and then loaded up, it is with 6 rounds, 19 ounces. So there's quite a big difference between just these two, just because of the thickness. Now you want to go to the big boy, you're talking the Glock 26. That is 18.1 ounces. Loaded up with 12 rounds is 24.9 ounces. Let's go to the standard Glock 43X. That is 16.4. And then you would think that this is lighter than, you know, the 48, but since the slide cuts, this one is 15.8. Loaded up, 22.2. And then this one also, you know, you feel like this one would be really light. This is a great gun. Unloaded, Glock 43, 17.6 ounces with 8 rounds, 23.2 ounces. All right, first shots with the Bodyguard 2.0. All right, so first impressions were, you know, this thing shoots kind of like a 9mm, maybe a very slightly underpowered 9mm. So that's not bad. That's obviously what I'm used to. So I'm gonna go try to push that sight a little bit. This mag was very hard, both of them, to load. Other than that, yeah, everything that people have said about it has been true. It shoots really nice, but it shoots to the left, which is interesting. So I'm gonna go try to push that thing and get through some ammo. All right, so I have 30 rounds through it right now, and as you can see, I tried to move that rear sight, but I just marred up my slide and the sight, which I don't really care about the sight or the slide, really. I wish it didn't happen. You can see I've been getting some slide bite from this thing. Okay, so as you can see, I can hit those plates, but to hit the one on the right, just to give you some kind of, you know, what I'm working with here, is I'm aiming a foot to the right to hit that metal plate. So that's where we're at on that. Okay, so I didn't get to shoot all 400 rounds. I only got to 250, which is not that great. I'm going to shoot the rest of them today, but I took it home and I decided, since I couldn't drift this rear sight, I mean, it's just I don't have a sight pusher, that I don't know why I didn't think of it out there, but I thought that I'll just drift this one, you know, the opposite way or towards where I need to go. And that's what I did. And what I realized is this thing actually wasn't centered from the factory. It was off to the right a little bit. So maybe that's the issue everybody's having. The front post is a little bit to the right. So you see I drifted it more to the left. Don't know if that's going to help. If not, maybe I'll order a sight pusher. I've never had a sight pusher because I just generally don't need one. And on top of it, you know, Glock sights are plastic, so they're easy to push. I don't really upgrade sights all that much. And when I do, I just don't have that problem. And now I have red dots. I love red dots. So I must have 10 guns with red dots on them. So I really don't want to buy a sight pusher. But what I noticed is, and it could be a bad thing, could be a good thing, but like most of the parts, as you can see now, that's just 250. You know, they're getting wear in them, which is, you know, it's understandable. But look at, you see the wear right on these? I have guns that have thousands of rounds on them that look like this, and after 500 you really don't see the wear too much. But like on these, you can definitely see the wear. And maybe that's like a zero tolerance coating. Maybe that's supposed to be like that. I don't know their manufacturing process. I know pistons, you can like have the skirts coated, so it's basically, you know, zero tolerance when you get done. Also, I will say I'm shocked about how thin this barrel is. It's pretty crazy that 380s even work, or at least this one. I don't have a lot of experience with 380s, to be honest with you. But man, if I compare this, let me compare this real quick. Let me get a Glock barrel. This is a Glock 43 barrel versus the 380 barrel. And look at that. And the 380's case isn't that much smaller than a 9. Yesterday, it was shooting to the left. This sight was kind of drifted to the right, and as you can tell now, I drifted it last night a little bit, and then I just drifted it a little bit more, and I'll go show you the targets here in a second. But I still think I'm going to have to come over and maybe borrow a buddy's sight pusher if they have one and push this to the right, because I want it to be perfect. But yeah, not a bad gun. I have a little over 350 rounds through it, and I'm going to put a whole bunch more on it. But looking at the target, and this is from 8 to 10 yards away, a little bit probably on the plus side of that. This was yesterday's target, aiming here, hitting here, aiming here, hitting here, aiming here, hitting here. I don't know what some of these are. Maybe I just fired some test shots or something. This was today's first target. All 10, you know, about a hand size. This says 3 inches, so probably 5 inches, around 10 yards. But I drifted the sight, and then this one, I noticed it was grouping pretty good, so I actually took my time with like the last two, and I ended up out here, which is weird. I still, you know, to me that's still shooting left. So like I said, I'm going to drift the sight to the rear. I thought these were shooting low yesterday, you know. I just thought most of these were low, but maybe not. But anyways, I took my time on this one. This one I shot pretty fast, so I'm pretty happy with the accuracy for this gun. I don't think you're going to do much better, especially with that thin of a barrel, but I'm pretty happy with it. 0 malfunctions so far, and I don't expect any. If you remember, I had slide bite, and as you can see, you know, I still got a little mark there. I haven't got anything today, but I'll update you at the end of this video, because I'm going to be putting a lot more rounds on this thing. Oh, another thing, I am also glad that I went with the smaller version and not the comp. And I noticed in the store that like the serrations on the comp weren't as aggressive, and I really like, this is a pretty powerful spring. And so I'm glad I went with this one, because these are aggressive. And like I said, I noticed in the store, and that was one of the main choices or reasons for me going with this model, because I liked how aggressive these were, and also that little bit of extra length on the comp version just didn't fit in my pocket as nice. Like you could see when I put it in my back pocket, it stuck out a little bit more just because my back pocket wasn't, you know, my back pocket's only a certain dimension, and just adding that little bit of length on there, I don't know if it's like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, it made the grip stick out more. So I'm glad I went with this version. Also, I think the coating, at least on the one I played with, was a little bit lighter in color than this, so it might have a better coating since it's a comped version. The only thing I do like about that comp version a lot more are those sights, because this notch is a little narrower in that comp version, and that yellow, man, I pick up that yellow so much better than I pick up this orange. So yeah, but other than that, I'll give a brief quick update on how my hand is feeling after I shoot all these rounds, because I'm thinking that maybe my hand swole up a little bit because that grip is so thin, and you know, after shooting it a lot, maybe that's what caused it to slide bite, because I have nothing right now. So I will let you guys know. All right guys, so what are my thoughts on the Bodyguard 2.0? I think it's an awesome little gun, but let me tell you some issues that I had with it right from the factory. We all know the sight issue, and it was a bear to get this thing pushed over there. I had to put it in a vise and use a very big hammer, and I did nick my slide, not just marred it, but nicked it right there. It is what it is. I just think that they probably should have made it easier to adjust this rear sight, or made them right, because the average person probably is not going to put this thing in a vise and beat it with a big hammer like I did. All right, another issue I had with the gun, maybe not an issue, but a concern of mine, was how gritty it was. So from the factory, when you rack the slide or pull the trigger, you felt the grit in the gun. And like I said, I thought I had gritty guns before until this one. This one takes the cake on that. But since I've shot in it a lot, it's worked out. It's actually pretty smooth. It is not custom 1911 smooth, but it's a really nice gun. I would say like normal smoothness, which is really nice. And the trigger pull is awesome. Just take up to the wall and then snap. Last time I tested it, it was around 4 pounds. I just got done testing it. It was 3.88. I will test it again for you live on camera. It's probably going to be somewhere around that 4 pound mark. There you go. 3.10 or 3 pounds 10 ounces. So the trigger is phenomenal. Another issue that I had with it, and I still have, after 3 to 4 rounds, I do get slide bite. This could be a me issue. I do have medium hands, but I have fatter, chunky hands, and I do like to grip up on my guns, and I really grip up. And as you can see, that's kind of like a skin flap, I guess. I don't know, a piece of fat on my hand. Anyways, they could have put a little beaver tail on here, but I guess for most people, or for who they're targeting for this, which are people with small hands probably, it's probably just fine. For me, I still shoot it. Other thing with this gun is the magazine. With 10 rounds in the magazine, it is hard to push in there, you know? With that being said, I've tested it. It works just fine. You can rack the slide like this. You can carry one in the pipe with 10 and it shoots and cycles just fine. So it's just something to be aware of, because at first I was like, let me just download the magazines, and that's what I did at first. I think I only put 9 rounds in, and now I'm going for, you know, the full 10. It didn't really work itself out. I've just tested it enough now to know that it's gonna work. But I would make sure you get a holster that definitely covers that safety button, especially like, because, you know, make sure it covers it really well so you don't hit it, because when you do hit it, that thing's popping out. You're gonna lose your mag, be shit out of luck, or whatever. So who's this gun for? I would say, you know, it's really weird. They made it, and like I said, if they put a little beaver tail on there, it'd probably be better for someone with bigger hands. So I think they're targeting, obviously, somebody with smaller hands, and I do have smaller hands, but they're probably targeting more of like the female crowd. I mean, the name Bodyguard, that's the thing I hate the most about this gun, is that name. But I think anybody who just wants to have something small and light, I don't think this is really a first time gun owner's gun. It can be, don't get me wrong, but I have a lot of options to choose from. This has been my main carry. It's going to continue to be my main carry. And, you know, maybe I'll rotate every now and then. But just the lightness of this is so nice. But I would say it still is pretty snappy. It's not as snappy as the Car CM9, which is 9mm, but I wouldn't recommend that gun for a beginner either. I would say this gun's mostly for people who just want to carry in lightweight clothes. They want less weight, smaller guns, pocket carry, purse. You know, obviously a con is it's 380. Everybody is looking for the 9mm. But I think this will do just fine, especially if you practice and you can get shot placement. And so maybe not a beginner's gun. I know that's kind of a weird take because I think it's kind of marketed for beginners, but I don't necessarily think it's for beginners. I think it's a really well-made gun, and I think it's just for somebody like me who has a lot of guns and wants another one for the rotation. Like I said, even though this is my main gun, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, but I think that's more of what this is for. This is more like an accessory gun. But people use things how they want to, and one thing can have multiple uses, but that's just my take on it. I love this little thing. I'm glad I have it. I honestly will probably get another one just to have two, because you've seen the Glock 43X and 43s that I have. Once I find something that I like, I might as well have multiples of them. I can keep one in my car. I can keep one, you know, on me at all times. That way, if something happens and I forget, or I'm rushed out of the house and I have to go somewhere, I always have one on me. That's just how I do things. Probably not the right way, but anyways, guys, there it is, the Bodyguard 2.0. Awesome little gun.